Have you ever been in a conversation when someone pointed at you with just one finger and you felt uneasy, maybe even a little offended? You're not alone. Pointing with a single finger is widely considered rude in many cultures, and it's not just a random social quirk. It actually has deep historical and psychological roots. Today, we're diving into why this simple gesture can make people uncomfortable, and how understanding it can help us navigate social interactions more smoothly. Right here, on History of Simple Things. Pointing isn't a modern invention. Humans have been using gestures to communicate long before spoken language fully developed. Archaeologists have found cave paintings and ancient artifacts suggesting that early humans pointed to indicate danger, direct attention, or signal hunting targets. But interestingly, the way we point and the social meanings attached to it has evolved differently across cultures. In Western societies, single-finger pointing became associated with accusation and blame. By the Middle Ages, pointing with one finger in public was often considered confrontational, almost like saying, "You are at fault." Religious texts and etiquette manuals from Europe even warned against pointing, describing it as an impolite or even aggressive act. In contrast, some cultures, like in parts of Asia or Africa, traditionally use the whole hand or the thumb to indicate direction, avoiding the accusatory connotation that comes with a single finger. So, why does pointing with one finger feel so aggressive? Psychologists say it has to do with body language and human perception. The index finger, when extended, is visually sharp and directional. It draws attention immediately, focusing the gaze of both the pointer and the recipient. While this can be useful for practical reasons, like giving directions, it also subconsciously signals dominance or judgment. Research shows that humans are wired to respond to eye contact and directional cues. When someone points at us, it's almost like a nonverbal command. "Look here," or "pay attention." If paired with a judgmental tone or stare, it can trigger feelings of threat, defensiveness, or embarrassment. Essentially, your brain interprets the gesture as a subtle form of social aggression. It's important to note that not all cultures view pointing the same way. In the United States and much of Europe, single-finger pointing is often discouraged in polite conversation, especially when addressing someone directly. It's seen as confrontational, accusatory, or even disrespectful. In contrast, in countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines, pointing with the index finger at a person is considered highly impolite. People often use the thumb or the entire hand instead. In Japan, pointing at someone can be considered rude or childish, and children are taught to gesture more subtly. Similarly, in many African communities, pointing at elders or superiors is taboo, often replaced with hand gestures that avoid singling someone out. These cultural differences highlight that what might feel casual or practical in one society can be offensive in another. So if you're traveling or interacting with people from different backgrounds, being mindful of how you point, or if you point at all, can save you from unintended social faux pas. Luckily, there are plenty of alternatives that convey direction or attention without offending anyone. For instance, using an open palm to gesture towards something is widely accepted across cultures and is considered neutral or even polite. Another option is a subtle nod in the direction you want to indicate. Even in casual settings, replacing the pointed finger with a gentle hand wave or a "look over there" motion can help soften the interaction. If you must point, keeping it brief, avoiding direct eye contact, or pointing toward objects rather than people can reduce the perceived rudeness. Despite the social taboos, pointing hasn't disappeared entirely. In classrooms, workplaces, and everyday life, we still use pointing for practical reasons, directing attention to a screen, emphasizing something in a presentation, or indicating items on a menu. The key difference is context and intent. When pointing is functional and not directed at a person in a confrontational way, it's generally seen as acceptable. But when it singles out an individual, especially in front of others, it can be interpreted as judgmental or disrespectful. That's why etiquette experts emphasize mindfulness. Think before you point and consider your audience. Pointing isn't just a social gesture, it's also a key part of how humans learn and develop. Studies in child development show that babies start pointing around 9 to 12 months old, usually to draw attention to something they find interesting or important. This early gesture helps them communicate before they can speak and even strengthens social bonds with caregivers. Interestingly, the type of pointing matters. Children who use whole-hand gestures or more neutral signals are often encouraged in cultures that avoid the sharp single-finger point. Understanding this helps explain why, even as adults, the single-finger point can feel abrupt or socially aggressive. It contrasts with the more inclusive attention-sharing gestures we learn as infants. Pointing with one finger may seem harmless, but it carries layers of historical, psychological, and cultural meaning. From ancient cave paintings to modern social etiquette, this gesture has evolved into something that can easily offend if used carelessly. Understanding why it's considered rude helps us communicate more effectively, respect social norms, and avoid unintentional conflict. So next time you want to draw someone's attention, remember, an open palm, a gentle nod, or even a subtle hand wave can often do the job better than a pointed finger. In the world of nonverbal communication, a little mindfulness goes a long way. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.